We have a very exciting speaker, and actually I'm very surprised to see that he's not dressed up. Usually we get a costume. Maybe his costume today is actually his work costume, a bit like Superman coming in, trying to blend in with the rest of us as well. Excited to introduce you, Kris Curtis. Now, Kris comes from Just Eats, which is based in the UK. His Twitter handle is @CurtyCanviz, that's CurtyCanviz. I suggest you give him a follow on Twitter right now. Kris is full of the most amazing information, and not only that, he's one of those Tableau community members that you can ping at any time, and he comes back with some great help along the way, and I've certainly done that and called on it, and I highly recommend that you do too. So Kris is actually a senior analytics manager at Just Eats, and he's been deploying data visualized software at an enterprise level. And by launching and managing data platforms, as well as training and educating a user base, he is bringing the team of data consumption into the new age. So we're really looking forward to having Kris speak to us on being hungry for data, launching a self-service analytics platform. So welcome to TFF, Kris Curtis. Bit of a round of applause. Woo!
Thank you for that introduction.
There we go.
I was thinking about costumes and stuff today, but it's probably too early in the morning to do that. So I'm just gonna click on and try not to keep everyone away from the weekend. So I know that as soon as I'm done, that's it.
Oh, fair enough. I am just a smidge disappointed because I always look forward to what's he going to be dressed like this time. Anyway, without further ado, let you get started.
Right, can you see my screen properly?
Yeah.
So we've got the Hungry for Data slides up. Perfect. Okay, so just to introduce myself, I'm Kris Curtis. As Fee said, I'm Senior Analytics Manager at Just Eat. I've been a Tableau customer for over 5 years now. Before I get fully started, I just need to do the corporate thing. So Just Eat, we are a leading global hybrid marketplace for online food delivery. You may be more familiar with what we do as Menulog, our business in Australia and New Zealand. So we provide over 27 million customers with an easy, secure way to choose, order and pay for food from over 100,000 restaurants in 12 markets around the world. We employ a global team of more than 3,600 people. And we're passionate about nurturing our next generation of talent. We offer a full program of training and support for all our people, helping them develop their careers in a way that suits them. So data and Tableau have played a big part in Just Eat. We've been a Tableau customer since 2013. Tableau Serves is used by over half our employees across the globe each month. Sales, marketing, operations, technology teams, logistics, everyone is hungry for data. So now that I've done all the housekeeping, I'd like to share my story with you. But first, I need to issue a warning. So this presentation contains images of food so delicious, so tasty, so mouth-watering, you may never want to cook at home again. It also contains food puns, which may cause reactions such as groaning, eye-rolling, and impossibly the worst case, laughter. I'm sure everyone has had a bad takeaway before. A cold, soggy pizza, curry where they forgot the poppadoms, egg fried rice from the local Chinese place with only one prawn. How many of you have gone back and ordered from this place again? I'm betting probably not many of you. Well, this is what we risk this is the risk we face in data. If we give a stakeholder a bad experience, they'll probably go off and try and find their own data from somewhere else. Who knows if that data is going to be fit for purpose? So this is the story of how we as a data team were the takeaway shop serving up cold pizzas, running late delivering people's data, forgetting that extra serve of insight, and having to cook up another report to keep our customers happy. Teams in Just Eat started taking their businesses elsewhere, going direct to the data and trying to prepare their own analysis. We were becoming the dodgy kebab shop on the high street that everyone avoided. This presentation will see how we launched a new menu of insight, one where customers could serve themselves using Tableau, how they started to binge eat on the nuggets of data. So I'm going to ask you a question. Where do people in your company go when they have a question and need data? I'm guessing in most cases, they will be directed to an analyst for their data needs. Or they might be sent a bunch of report links, slides, analysis. If you're new to a company, it might be really hard to sort of understand exactly what's going on. So we as data people, I think we try to be helpful. It's not always viable to have analysts prepare custom data meals each and every time, or changing and updating existing reports each time because they may not answer the right question that someone else has. Where do you draw the line? You probably feel like you're constantly dispensing small snacks of data. It's fine for a quick fix, but doesn't really satisfy a big appetite for data. It's not always the healthy option. So I try and put myself in the shoes of a new person at Just Eat. They might have these questions when looking for data. Where do I start? Who do I speak to? Has everything been done before? What is the right data for me? Essentially, a user is trying to find the right data to answer a business question. It could be seen as trying to find a healthy option from this lovely display of food. Sampling the right data should be more like a set meal at a decent restaurant, not a Michelin star, but something that looks good, is clean, and people want to go back for more. It's all well and good saying that data should look a certain way when serving to the business, but just like a restaurant, everyone has different tastes. I think at this stage, it's important to understand that the word data means different things to different people. For someone in marketing, data might mean email lists for campaigns or aggregated customer cohort counts. Data might mean trended orders over time for someone in sales. For someone in engineering or technology, data might mean something completely different. So let's just focus on traditional business users. Data to them might mean reports and dashboards. How do we deliver this data to them? So many organizations maintain a probably very standard model where requests for data or reports are collated, prioritized, developed, and delivered. And what we've seen as a traditional approach to this delivery of data is no longer really appropriate to meet the demands of a data-hungry organization. This cycle cannot scale without increased resource and a proper process to manage the demand. So we have limitations on headcounts within reporting and analytics teams. How do we know what is critical and what is nice to have? When the business grows, the volume of requests increases? And do we know if the work that is being done is helping the right decisions being made? So I don't really think that any company who wants to use the data effectively can honestly believe that this is the right approach. So to solve these issues, we set out to change the way that we were delivering data to our business. We wanted to focus on getting the people to the right data at the right time. There's plenty more bad food puns coming up, so just be prepared. So self-service. There's been a lot of catchwords in data over the past few years. Big data started it all. Then there was data is the new oil, data-driven business, data science, data democratization, and self-service analytics are some of the more recent terms to be used to describe this model. I like to refer to this as controlled self-service. Data that's provided is managed by the data team. It's cleaned, it's updated, and we know where it comes from. So why would you want to do this? Why would you want to launch a self-service analytics program? So we outlined our objectives when we first decided to do this. The main things that we were looking to do was to protect the analyst resource. We wanted to help people get the answers that they were looking for. We wanted to make this faster instead of having people to wait weeks or months to get the information they needed to. And we wanted to get people to talk more about business problems and not just asking for the data. So by implementing a self-service model, we were going to go a long way in getting the right information to the right people. Our data food pyramid had another layer added. So I wanted to teach people how to access data and to use Tableau. I wanted to let them explore the data that we had made available. They could then understand their business problems. They could communicate it to their teams and other parts of the business. And they get that information and really drive that change through the business and not feeling the pressure put onto the data and analytics team all the time. So before we kicked all this off, we needed to come up with a bit of a name for our program. So we decided to call it Data Chefs. This is our self-service analytics program. And why call it Data Chefs? So we like to keep it quite fun at Just Eat. Our company intranet is called The Kitchen. We have meeting rooms in London, which are named after food and movie crossovers like Godzilla, Grill Bill, 50 Shades of Gravy, and my favorite, Return of the Pad Thai. I wanted a program that fit our fun image, that data should also be included in this, name which was recognizable across the business, and associate this person as having the knowledge and know-how to be able to be approached with a data question without having to go to an analyst to get that answer. So I'm going to now share with you my recipe for Data Chefs, and it wasn't passed down from my grandmother. So we start with a recipe and we serve the entire business. We start with our ingredients: 8 free-range employees, 8 freshly charged laptops, 8 organic Tableau Creator licenses, 1 published data source, a meeting room with large TV screen, a pinch, actually no, make that a handful of patients. And our method: we preheat Tableau by preparing our data source in advance. We gradually introduce our free-range employees. We start off with some basic chart building, and we add a splash of data visualization theory. We add a sprinkle of exercises to allow our data chefs to rise up to the challenge. And we introduce some more complex techniques, whisking the data chefs into stiff geeks. Cook for 2 hours, once a week, reducing the disruption to day-to-day work. Repeat 6 times. We combine data chefs with an actual business question, and we serve up to a senior audience to taste. This training is just not about Tableau. We go into basic ideas behind data visualization and why we do it. We introduce data types and, to some extent, manipulating data to create new fields through calculations, progressing to some of the more advanced features and techniques in Tableau. I'm educating about what happens when you see data. What does your brain do? How hard it works to interpret the information being presented to you. All the while, I'm talking about the why. Establishing the business question. What is it that we're trying to be answered, as this sets up what data is needed and how it can be presented to answer the question. The key to this is the published data sources that we're making available. We take a delegated data governance approach for this. Our team, known as DataViz, work closely with our fast-paced data experts who build and manage critical tables, specifically built for reporting and analytical needs. We then take the requirements from the business and create more targeted data marts, which are published as data sources on Tableau Server. Using these published data sources, data chefs can dip into the data that we had prepared for them. Because they are created by us, the DataViz team, they are aligned with the key reporting metrics and definitions consumed by the business. So we're working towards a variety of data delivery options for Just Eat. The Data Chefs program is just one part of this. It's important for us to cater to all different tastes, if that is for direct access to our database, to gorge on raw data, or just to nibble on some good old reporting sandwiches. So what we've seen from implementing this type of analytics program is the benefits. Quite quickly, we saw that we were protecting our analytical resource. We saw a drop in these kind of like day-to-day requests and ad hoc walk-ups. We reduced the times for answers. We've now empowered people that sit within specific teams to quickly and rapidly answer those kind of questions that are discussed at meetings and emailed around or discussed in chat groups. These people also have the domain knowledge. They're working in teams, and those questions, sometimes you need to explain them to an analyst to sort of like allow the analyst to get that business knowledge. Whereas by doing this, we're giving that access to the business experts so they know exactly what they're looking for. It's also done amazing things in terms of improving the relationship with data and the teams across the business. We're allowing these people to say, we're supporting you to make your right decisions. Some of the results that we've seen, we've had really strong contribution from teams. people which had previously had limited support and really didn't engage with data are now very eager to work with us. There's definitely an impact on analytical resource. It's hard to actually quantify. I get that question a lot. We do see a decrease in our ticketing system in terms of overall requests. And we have provided these, because we're providing these data sources, which we obviously certify within Tableau Server, we're creating a much more sort of consistency and almost that building that trust across the business, where the numbers all reconcile and everyone is sort of like comfortable with what's being displayed. We're also putting a face on data. You know, if it's myself or my team who are hosting the Data Chef training sessions, people sort of build that kind of rapport instead of submitting a ticket that just goes into a queue and you just get a generated email. So, you know, making sure that there's people there that they know that they can approach, and even if we don't know the answer to that question, we can then ask that question to another team. Our stakeholders are saying, well done. So, you know, it's really nice to hear that. We've got a lot of success that's come from this program, but it also opens up lots of different other challenges. We've got lots of data chefs that are cooking. So that means there's lots of content and things to eat on the Data Chef menu. Controlling the volume of content and reports is tricky. We don't want to stop the enthusiasm, but on the other hand, I don't want my Tableau server and user experience to suffer. So another issue is around quality control. You know, which is the right number? How do you decide where you can eat, where you can start to eat at an all-you-can-eat buffet? We need to make sure that the right people eat from the right menu. And we found that training these people in these type of skills often can also lead to companies trying to poach data chefs to cook in their kitchens. The Tableau is a desirable skill, especially for people not normally from a data background. So this means that we continually try and innovate the program and make sure that we get full support from the business, including our learning and development team and HR and all the line managers of the participants that join the program. Apart from some of the success that I've listed earlier, there's a lot of other sort of benefits that have come from this, which we didn't really expect at the start. And a lot of this is, you know, the education and informing, you know, working with these individuals and explaining a little bit more about, giving them a better understanding about how data appears and changing that perception of data just magically appears in Tableau or in a report, that there's a lot of different steps that take place in the background. And just having that business understanding goes a long way in terms of when we have outages or other things. And that education has really sort of like helped the business sort of get probably a bit more closer to what we're actually doing for them. I think the data literacy and understanding has really sort of added to that as well. And one of the lights have gone off in the office, so I just have to. That's how early it is in here, that I'm the only one in the office. We have development opportunities. And what we've seen is that we've got people who are super keen and with this training, they've actually progressed from working in different departments, and they've joined the data team and they've started careers within analytics. So, you know, like adding that to your company is, you know, really supporting that development and retention strategy as well. We've also, by building this program out, is you know, enabling us to have a data community. You know, people sort of bringing different ideas and different sort of issues to a group, and, you know, discussing these kind of problems and realizing that people aren't alone and they can share these kind of issues and work out solutions together. So I never thought what started as a simple training program would have the impact it has. I've got emails and requests from people asking when the next course is going to be run. We've actually just closed the registrations for the next program, and we received a record 108 applications from the Just Eat office in the UK. The hard part is getting this list down to 8 candidates. I've got managers asking for their teams to be included. They see the value that a data chef can bring to their team. So that's my story, but I wanted to leave you with this to take away. What started as a way of protecting our data analysts has turned into one of the biggest initiatives within the DataViz team. We've changed the structure of our team to include the support and creation of data sources for data chefs. Our goal is to have 80% of questions answered by this self-service menu of data. There's so much appetite for this program that this year we've doubled the number of courses that we've run. And we're also starting to take the Data Chef program on tour across our European markets. So we have a little treat from our team in Menulog, and we have a $10 discount voucher code as well. So, you know, a nice way for people on the Fringe Festival to start their weekends. I know it's Friday evening in Australia. So, you know, make sure you enter the Tableau Fringe voucher code and go and order yourself some lovely food. So to wrap up, what have I learned from this process? I've learned that when you keep serving the same meal, people get bored. They want to try and taste new things. They want to cook for themselves. As long as you provide the right ingredients, the right utensils, and they follow the recipe, they won't burn down your kitchen. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling hungry. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Kris. Great chat there. And are you really hungry? I mean, have you had your breakfast yet?
I haven't had my breakfast yet, and I didn't even get a cup of tea yet either.
Can you use that discount code across the globe whenever you get into one of the sites? Are you able to order yourself some of your own food?
We have Greg's on the platform now, and they serve up bacon sandwiches and sausage rolls, and you know, they're a very big breakfast partner. So we do have a few options available.
So thanks very much for the chat, and I love the puns along the way. I've been cracking up the whole way through, so it's a good way to start closing out Tableau Fringe Festival as well after a decently long day. We've got some questions coming through. Do you have an internal team that comes up with puns on a regular basis, or is this your own recipe?
They were mine, but I definitely had some help from a few characters. We've got a couple of people. One of our team members he does a little bit of performance art on the side, and constantly appears at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival as a comedy troupe. So definitely helped a few of them. I also worked on this presentation with Louis Archer from Tableau as well over here in London. So there definitely was a lot of support for more puns throughout the presentation.
Louis always got a few crackers, especially when he's presenting on stage for InViz as well. Got another question for you. It's from John McMillan. Hey Kris, thanks for the presentation. What do your analysts do with their additional time? Are they able to deliver high value analytics now?
So yes, the answer to that question is we've actually, it's the team that we've created, this DataViz team that really helps support this program. We, as part of their sort of like main roles and responsibility, is developing, the enterprise-wide visualizations. So we don't actually call them like reports or dashboards. We actually call them toolkits. And they actually presented at the Tableau conference in Berlin earlier this year. So there is a recorded session of their talk. I think it's called Tableau to Tableau and Just Eat. So you can quickly look at that one. And that kind of really gives a good indication of what the level of stuff that my team is doing. But within the other side of teams, we have a commercial analytics team who are really focused on trading and the trends within our base in terms of like trying to drive those orders up and looking at different areas and different restaurants and different cuisines that we can bring onto the platform to give our customers the best experience. And then we also have a product analytics team who really focus on optimizing the product itself, so the website, the app itself, and really trying to just make those conversions happen and give those users the best sort of experience when they're actually using the product itself.
Cool, thanks. Another question here. How do you measure the effectiveness or impact of your visualizations? And that's from Michael Perello.
So the impact of the visualization, definitely we do a lot of the stuff that we look at is in terms of like usage. So, leveraging the Postgres database on Tableau server, and really sort of like on these key toolkits that we're delivering, keeping an eye on that. We have lots of different activities where we're either promoting that and then just engaging with people who are consuming that content. So, making sure that there's still regular viewing, and if there's not viewing, we can then go back and look at the sort of the users or the business sponsor of that product, and going back into them and saying like, why, is there any issues? Like, do we need to have another variation of it? Do we need to do some iteration? Like we try to think that obviously dashboards and toolkits, they answer those questions, but they obviously need to be constantly evolving to make sure that they're keeping up with what the business is actually looking for.
Cool. And a follow-up question to that from Michael was also, what process does your team adopt to improve and innovate for maximum adoption and effectiveness?
So process, so we have the way that the team's set up is we have kind of like one sort of manager who is very much the sort of like going off and meeting with stakeholders, and really getting that feedback and bringing that into the team. One person will be working in a development sprint, focusing on the next big launch of a toolkit. The other person will be providing that support, if that's for supporting the DataChef program with data sources, or making those tweaks and iterations behind the scenes of the previously completed toolkits, kind of thing. So that's the kind of like the process that we usually work at, 6 to 8 week sprint cycle. Essentially, it does work for us, but it's very much, I think the only reason it works is because we have a very firm list in terms of what type of work that we actually take on. That gives us the freedom and the flexibility to deliver high quality products, rather than just running around all over the place trying to like do quick things for people. And that's how the delivery of the program, empowering people to sort of do the self-serve stuff, fits in really nicely with the sort of the big business facing kind of like output that the team is producing as well.
Right. And so does that mean, given that you've got this excuse me, these strong boundaries around what your team actually delivers, have you also got strong executive sponsorship that helps to say quite firmly to the organization, this is what this team is about? Yeah, so we have the good thing is that we do have that kind of protection and buy-in from the leadership team across our chief data officer, but also within the sort of like the board level, across finance and even the CEO. So very much pointing people. The idea was to have that kind of like numbers that everyone agrees to, kind of thing, and that's the kind of like approach and mentality that we operate against. Well, thank you so much for that, Kris. You've absolutely killed my hunger with that perfect presentation. I loved it. I love the slides that came through, the puns. It's definitely going to be a great one for people to catch up on. And thanks for putting that code back up again. I'm sure that there'll be a few people that'll be enjoying that this weekend. And that's it for today. So if anyone's got any other questions for Kris, please look him up on Twitter at Curticanviz, or just search for Kris Curtis. That's Kris with a K and Curtis with a C.